Hey, you know what's really dumb? Not having to worry about your commander whatsoever. So, a while back, I made a video on Ruby Daring Tracker, and I adore that video, and I adore that deck, and it's one of the decks that I play a lot over at my LGS, but I thought maybe I could do it again. And I already kinda did it when I released my Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath video, and I am getting that deck in paper so that I can test it a bunch and see if there's any improvements that I can make to it. Though that deck has already had a few improvements to its Moxfield list, so maybe check that out if you are interested and you want to play Big Stompy with absolutely zero brain cells. That said, today's commander is going to be more in line with Ruby's original ethos, and, well, let's talk about how that makes the deck really dumb. So the ethos behind Ruby Daring Tracker is simple. It's a 2-mana commander that can make 1 mana, and by having that ability, we can basically ignore the need to have any 2-mana ramp in the deck whatsoever, because the 2-mana ramp is already guaranteed in our opening hand. Then we follow up by having cards like Cartographer Survey and Explosive Vegetation be our ramp on turn 3, and this gives us access to 6 mana on turn 4, and then a 7th when we play that mana. Then we basically have the ability to play anything in our deck whatsoever. So, what commander are we going to be building that around instead? Well, it's none other than Katilda Dawnheart Prime. Now, I originally wanted to build this as a humans tribal deck because that's how I had built it in paper years ago, and then I realized that's just kinda boring. If you want me to build that, let me know in the comments section below, and I would love to take a look at this card again to build that kind of deck, but for the time being, we are going to be building this as Zero Brain, Big Stompy. I would like to smash, I would like to absolutely never pass. And one of the reasons that we get to do that is because this deck is going to be shitting out cards like Zetalpa Primal Dawn, Verdant Sun's Avatar, Balta Primal Hunger, cards that have either absurd keywords or absurd numbers. Speaking of absurd keywords, we also have access to this thing, Archon of Valor's Reach. This is a Stax piece, but it's a 6-mana Stax piece, so if anybody complains about them, let them know that they can go suck it. Flying, Vigilance, Trample, the ability to let you choose a spell type when it comes out, and your opponents are no longer allowed to cast that spell type. This is bonkers. I would love to play this against a Brea player and say, you don't get to play artifacts, or a Krenko player and say, no creatures for you, I already have mine. Thanks. Then we have Yasharn, who says that aristocrat players can go suck a nut. When it enters the battlefield, it gives us 2 lands to our hand, but players are no longer allowed to play life or sacrifice non-land permanents in order to cast spells or activate abilities. This stops a variety of decks, and it even stops fetch lands from working, which means if we are playing this in 2 particular pods, we can actually turn off decks like Omnath and Tatyova very, very quickly, because they cannot pay life for their fetch lands. Now, if they're budget versions with things like Evolving Wilds, then they get a pass, but that's fine. We like budget players. They are friends, like us. Then we have ways to spread lots of power to our entire board. You've seen me basically glaze Glacier Godmaw a lot lately, and I'm gonna continue to do so. This card is nutty, with Trample, the ability to make a lander token to trigger itself, and a landfall ability that gives all of our creatures 1/1 Vigilance, and Haste of all things. We get Haste in Selesnya. This is absolutely perfect, and I adore it. Then we have the Salvation Colossus, which has Flying, Vigilance, and Trample, and the ability to give 2/2 and Indestructible to our entire board so long as we attack. Endrace Forerunners, which gives 2/2 Vigilance and Trample to our entire board when it attacks, and the Thunderfoot Baloth, which lords out 2/2 and Trample to our entire board so long as we have Katilda. We're also going to be using a bit of a free stuff package, just like we did with Ruby. Unfortunately, in these colors, we don't have access to as many ways to get free stuff, but we do still have some. So we have the Annoyed Altasaur, one of my favorites, Reach, Trample, Cascade, the Enlisted Worm, a 5/5 worm with Cascade, the Maelstrom Colossus, it's a 7/7 with Cascade, it does nothing else, the Monstrous Vortex, which can give us Discover on all of our cards, and the Sweet Gum Recluse, a card that I tried to disinclude from a lot of these decks because it does not, in and of itself, have the big numbers that I look for in these super Timmy-style no-brain decks, but a lot of people did mention it in the comment section below, so I wanted to go ahead and acquiesce and say, yes, Sweet Gum Recluse is going to make the cut this time. We then have some recursion in the form of Glissa's Retriever, and I know you're going to say it has Toxic, and that makes me a bad person, and I agree. You're right. This is one of the most panic-inducing effects in all of Magic the Gathering. So a person sees this, says, oh no, you're playing Infect. That means you're gonna hurt the entire table, and now the life gain player doesn't get to win the game. Ah, boo-hoo. Absolutely boo-hoo. We are going to be hurting them with Infect. That's what we're doing right now. Panic if you want. I think it's okay. But it also has another ability which is super important. Not only is it hard to block, but if you look here, if it dies, we get to exile it. And when we do, we can return up to X cards from our graveyard, where X is the number of opponents that have 3 or more poison counters. And if you look at the card, it has Toxic 3, so it's going to be giving exactly 3 poison counters whenever it does its thing. When our opponents finally kill this card, we will get between 1 and 2 cards from our graveyard back to our hand, and that is incredibly powerful. Then we have the Emiria Shepherd, a card that says Landfall. Whenever a land enters our battlefield, we get to take any non-land permanent from our graveyard and put it in our hand. But if that land is a Plains, we instead will put that card on the battlefield. What makes the Ruby deck way more powerful? Having access to free revival that doesn't cost me anything, but doing the thing the deck wants to do and nothing else. We're also going to run a Timeless Witness. That way we can get cards back from our grave if need be. There are some fairly important cards in here that can close out games for us, and I'd like to have a way to get those back, even if it's in the graveyard. Let's also run a Walk with the Ancestors to not only discover 4, which will usually cast a ramp spell, but also allow us to get any of our important permanents out of the graveyard. Like, oh, I don't know, the Emiria Shepherd that's going to get back the Terastodon. You think of your own scenario where this thing's going to be good. That said, let's talk about some other free things in this deck, like tokens. We have the Armada Worm, a 5/5 worm that has trample that summons a 5/5 worm that has trample. Then we have the Rampaging Baloths, a card that gives a 4/4 beast token whenever we play a creature token. I'm starting to find myself putting this thing in more decks, regardless of whether or not that deck is a landfall deck, because an army of 4/4 beasts does win games. It's kind of nutty. Then we have the Giant Ataphage, which made its way into the Uro deck in the modified list after I made the video, so I want to talk about it here. A 7/7 that can clone itself when it hits somebody in the nuts, and then that clone, being a copy of the Giant Ataphage, can then clone itself as well, which means we get to go turn 1 swing, make 1, and then we have 2, turn 2 swing with 2, now we make 4, and then now we make 8, and then now we make 16. It's a very slow way to do this, but I think that's a-okay. Then we have the Legion Loyalty card. This might as well be a win condition, giving every creature in our deck Myriad. This means our creatures will now be able to clone themselves and hit every opponent. Now, obviously, this has some dumb implications with cards like the Armada Worm, the Giant Ataphage, and the Rampaging Baloths, but may I introduce you to some other cards this is absolutely stupid with? Well, first of all, there is the Thorn Mammoth, which can fight things when it comes out. That's dumb. Secondly, having an extra copy of Emiria Shepherd and then being able to play a single Plains and say, I'm reviving my entire graveyard, fuckface, panic. Then we have dumb things like Glissa's Retriever being able to quickly stack Infect on everything when we clone it this way. And don't forget that when we are shitting out these creatures constantly, cards like Endray's Forerunners, Thunderfoot, Baloth, these will be able to get us additional power and toughness to our entire board. And if we sequence our stuff correctly, cards like Glacier Godmaw can be used as well. Though, bear in mind, we do need to be careful to have mana up to use that Lantern token when we do this. Otherwise, those extra Glacier Godmaws aren't really doing anything for us. But I love plays that make us think a little bit ahead, even in decks that have exactly 1 brain cell to work with. That said, let's talk about drawing cards. So we're going to be running Garruk's Uprising and Garruk's Pack Leader. Both of these cards give us the ability to draw cards when we do, well, basically just the same shit our deck is trying to do all the time. Let's also put in a Regal Behemoth to give us the Monarch. This card is freaking great because not only is it a mana doubler, which is exactly what our deck wants with all the big stompy in it, but giving us the Monarch when we're always going to have some of the biggest creatures on the board is fantastic. And speaking of the biggest creatures on the board, we're going to have Lifestream Blessing, Rishkar's Expertise, and Return of the Wild Speaker. Each of these cards will draw us cards equal to the greatest power on our board, but each of them has a secondary ability. Lifestream's Blessing can give us life, Return of the Wild Speaker can close out the game if we have the right board set up, and Rishkar's Expertise can give us a free spell. Then we have the Primordial Sage, which says whenever we play a creature spell, draw a card. Now, obviously, you could run the other cards that do this effect as well, but they apparently cost too much money now. So, we're going to have to run a bad card instead of having more copies of this, and that is Nissa, Nature's Artisan. Now, I know what you're saying, Suris, this is a Planeswalker deck card. It's awful, and I know, I love awful cards. What are you talking about? I don't try to play all the best cards in the world. That's why we're playing a budget deck, so we can play dumb, stupid, swingy cards that do absolutely nothing to help us win the game. Playing this will make your opponent scratch their heads, but if you neg for it, it lets you reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Any lands from there go to your hand, exactly what our deck wants to do. Any non-lands go to our hand, which is also just draw. It's slow draw, because we're going to have to plus Nissa afterwards and then use the ability again later. So at most, across 3 turns, this will get us 4 cards. That does make it slightly better than a Phyrexian Arena, but not much better. Although it does have that final ability that says that everything gets 5/5 and trample until end of turn, but that'll never happen. What are you talking about? Let's talk removal, and a lot of these are just big, dumb guys, but I think that's fine. Let's go over the one that's not a big, dumb guy first, though, and that is natural, what am I doing with my life? Natural Reclamation, a cascading instant that can destroy any artifact or enchantment. Then we have Duplicate, which can exile any creature and then gain its power and toughness. Angel of the Ruins, which can get rid of 2 artifacts or enchantments. Unexplained Absence, which can get rid of 3 permanents. World Breaker, which can get rid of any artifact, enchantment, or land. A Scion of Calamity that has Myriad and the ability to blow up artifacts or enchantments when it punches people. Woodfall Primus, a Meteor Golem that is just green. A Terrastodon, which is just 3 Meteor Golems in a trench coat. Then we have Thorn Mammoth, which fights things whenever we get big creatures on the board, including itself. Kalani Ambush, which is a fight spell that can also be a land when we need it to be. A Luminant Primordial, which exiles a creature from each opponent. Why does nobody play this thing? This thing is fantastic. I love him. Then we have the Angel of Serenity, which can exile 3 things Oblivion Stone style, or Oblivion Ring style, but it can also get rid of cards from graveyards and then put those cards back in our hands after it goes away. So we could play this and then punch our opponents with it over and over again after exiling 1 thing an opponent controls and 2 things from our grave, making our opponents not want to blow it up because, yeah, they might want that 1 thing back, but if they get this gone, then we're gonna get 2 things from our graveyard back. And, you know, one of those things we threw away could be a Legion Loyalty that's gonna be coming back to our hand at some point. You have no idea what's going on here. This thing's busted, and I'm gonna commit war crimes with it. But we are not done. We still have board wipes to go through, and given that we are playing white deck, we have access to good white board wipes, like Angel of the Dire Hour, a flash flying creature that can exile all attacking creatures. We've pissed off one opponent and they decided that they're the Krenko player that's going to turn all their stuff sideways at us. Bam! Absolutely not. All your stuff is gone. Bye, nerd. Then we have the Austere Command, a card that lets us choose to blow up any number of varieties of things. Blowing up artifacts, blowing up enchantments, blowing up big creatures, blowing up small creatures. Pick 2 and go to the races. Bane of Progress blows up all artifacts and enchantments. Vanquish the Horde kills all creatures, and it can only be ran for 2 mana. This thing is great. More white decks should be running it. And then we have the Extinguisher Battleship, because having a 10/10 space station that can hurt people is great, but it also deals 4 damage to every creature when it comes out. Uniquely, this probably won't kill most of the things in our deck, and it can blow up any non-creature permanent when it comes out. That's just more icing on the cake. I love this card. And now we have the ramp section. Now, this is basically going to be two kinds of cards. We have cards like Search for Tomorrow and Wild Growth. These come out before the commander and get us 1 mana of ramp. And then we have the Verdant Crescendo, which gets us 1 mana of ramp and then gives us the really bad Nissa. After that, every card in here is the same thing with slight variation. You can read what that slight variation is per card, but Invasion of Zendikar, Circuitous Route, Path the Animus, Vastwood Surge, Migration Path, Cartographer Survey, Encroaching Dragonstorm, Ranger's Path, Reach the Horizon, Explosive Vegetation, Map the Frontier, and Terramorph all effectively say, get 2 lands out of your deck, put them on the battlefield, either tapped or untapped. Sometimes it's forests, most of the times it's basic lands, but this effectively gives us the ability to always have one sequence of plays. When our turn begins on turn 2, we play Katilda. She ramps us by 1. Then on turn 3, we play Terramorph, Map, Explosive Vegetation, Encroaching Dragonstorm, Cartographers, whatever, and this will allow us to have access to 2 more mana. Then, when turn 4 comes around and people are starting to play their first cards, we get to play our first cards with 7 mana available. That's the game plan, and we're going to have to talk about how that works when we get to how to play the deck. But now we got to talk about lands. We have basics in the form of 8 plains and 10 forests. Then we have dual lands in the well-tapped Radiant Grove because we need forests in order to use some of our cards like Ranger's Path. Canopy Vista and Scattered Groves are also forests, which we can grab. But then we have the untapped Sungrass Prairie and Command Tower, Fortified Village, and Brushland. We're also running a Temple of Plenty so that we can have access to a Scry early. Then we have fetching lands in the form of Terramorphic Expanse, Evolving Wilds, Vibrant Cityscape, and Escape Tunnel, with some ramping lands in the form of Corrosion Verge and Myriad Landscape. Then we have utility lands, Pit of Offerings, and Scavenger Grounds to get rid of problematic cards in the graveyard, Mosswort Bridge and Windbrisk Heights to play cards for free, and then a Demolition Field to get rid of problematic lands like Glacial Chasm and Maze's End. And that does it for everything in the deck. All that we got to do now is show you how to play it. All right, let's talk keepable hands. Any hand in this deck that has 3 lands, a 4-mana ramp spell, and anything else is keepable. So check this out. We get to draw a card, play Fortified Village, show our opponents a plains, and then go to the next turn. Next turn comes up, we're going to play that plains, tap 2, and then bam, there's Katilda. Turn 3, we're going to play a forest, tap 1, 2, 3, 4, Migration Path. That's going to go into our library and get 2 lands. We are going to go ahead and get 2 plains out because we already have access to a forest in our hand. But boom, those are out. Now when turn 4 comes up, we get to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 mana available. Let's go ahead and spend all of that mana along with this forest and play Thorn Mammoth. Boom. We're killing a single creature on our opponent's turn. Or on our opponent's board. Then on our next turn, we can pay 1, 2, 3, 4, and play Yasharn. Boom. We've blown up another card. And now we're going to have Katilda tap so that we can get our Invasion of Zendikar. That's going to go ahead and get turned over when we swing, but the invasion is going to get us a plains and then another forest from our deck, ramping us. When we swing with the Thorn Mammoth at an opponent, it has trample. We're going to swing at the person whose creature we blew up so that we can get back our awakened Skyclave. Now when turn 6 comes up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana to play with. And with that 11 mana, we're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we are going to play Legion Loyalty. Now that we've played Legion Loyalty... Oh, I forgot. Yasharn went into our deck and gave us stuff. I did not do that, so we're going to do that again here in a second. We get to swing with... technically, we wouldn't have Terramorph in our hand. Let's do this correctly. We wouldn't have Terramorph in our hand. We would have gotten those cards out of the deck. So let me go ahead and get those 2 cards. All right, after a shuffle and everything else, our card is actually Rampaging Baloths, which is good for a follow-up turn. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and play this Legion Loyalty so that we have a bunch of stuff ready to go. We'll play a Plains for turn. Now that Legion Loyalty's out, when we swing with the Thorn Mammoth, the Yasharn, and the Awakened Skyclave, check this out. We spawn 2 Yasharns. They automatically die, but because they came out, we do gain access to a lot of basic lands out of our deck. And because we have access to those, there we go, close and shuffle. Now we have the ability to play lands on our next turns, no problem. The Thorn Mammoths get cloned, and because they get cloned, we get to fight a bunch of shit on our opponent's board, and because the Awakened Skyclaves get cloned, well, they have Vigilance, so we at least get to keep the 1 Awakened Skyclave up when we do this. But yeah, kaboom! We get to hit our opponents with all kinds of shit, and we're in a really good spot. And let's go ahead and assume that there is another turn. We're going to at least take this to turn 8. I like at least going to turn 8. Play the... We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll play the Rampaging Balos, play the Scavenger Grounds, because that'll give us a token copy. So we're going to go ahead and make our 4/4 Beast, and then we're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to play our Gliss's Retriever, and now, when we swing with the Thorn Mammoth and the Gliss's Retriever and the Awakened Skyclave, we of course make our extra copies of things, but the Gliss's Retrievers, now we have a bunch of them coming at our opponents. Now, unfortunately, we have to exile the tokens, so we're not going to get the corrupted ability from the extra Gliss's Retrievers, but it's fine. It's entirely fine. We've given our entire opponent set Toxic. Oh, look, we have a Vastwood Surge now. Let's play this. That's going to get us a... We're not going to play that yet. No. We play that at the end of the turn. We're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are going to play the Vastwood Surge. We're going to give 2 1/1 counters to the entire board, and then we're going to swing with Legion Loyalty and hurt our opponents for lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. That's the game plan, everybody. Big creatures, dumb stompy, no brain cells. Not a single one is available for us at all in this game. If you're going to be upgrading this deck, I would highly suggest picking up these cards. Galta and Maverin makes tokens at a really good rate. Nova Blast is a fantastic repeatable board wipe. Avenger of Zendikar gives us another token win condition in the strategy, as does Conclave Evangelist. Kogla the Titan Ape and Highcliff Felidar kill a lot of permanents, and that's just a really good thing to be doing in a deck that's going to very quickly become arch enemy. Then we have the Disciple of Freylease, a card that enters the battlefield, sacks one of our big creatures, and then draws us a ton of cards that also has a backside that can be a land. Soul of the Harvest draws us lots of cards as well. Apex Devastator gives us tons of free spells along with the Emergent Woodworm. Dragon Lord Dramoka makes us immune to fogs, and O'Hare Talk and O'Hare Chasm allow us to have repeatable gods that we can play over and over again. And then I would also suggest running Overlord of the Mistmoors. This card is great. It is a 6/6 Grave Titan in white, and those tokens that we spawn, well, they get even stronger if we have O'Hare Talk out, right? Because we get so many more of them. Then we have the Vaultborn Tyrant, a card that draws us a ludicrous amount of cards and has a price tag that makes my eyes want to bleed. I can't even put this in my own Ruby deck that's at full power. I'm very, very sad. That said, if you want to pick up this deck, then please consider going over to the Moxfield list in the description below. Scroll all the way up to the top, click Buy Deck, and make sure that you select Manapool. They are a sponsor of this channel. I do receive a kickback from that, and that does help the channel out a ton. Anytime you pick up something from Moxfield, from me, or from Manapool, from my link, that helps me out a ton. And speaking of that link is going to be in the description of your video right here. Go ahead and click on that. It'll take you over here. If you are a new Manapool user, you'll get $5 off your first purchase. But if you are not a new user, then it does still help out the channel a ton. It does give me a kickback, and it allows me to continue making videos just like this. That said, thank you very much for watching. If you would like one of your commanders to be featured in a video and me to build a deck around it, let me know in the comment section below. I will see what I can do. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I've made the unfortunate mistake of making all fan art canon, and you guys use that to make a ton of doppelgangers of me that try to ruin my life. So why not go ahead and celebrate that cacophony by picking up the new channel playmat over on Fourth Wall. When you pick up the playmat, take a picture and throw it up on social media tagging me so I can feature you in a future video. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video.